And my next guest is someone who has dealt with our favorite topic here on Route 664, the road to human kindness, and it is kindness. My guest is Jaclyn Lindsey. Jaclyn is the co-founder and CEO of Kindnessorg. Okay, you want to make the world kinder?
Yes, sir, I do.
And gentler? How are you doing so far?
It's a big mission. It's something that affects literally every human in the world. I genuinely believe that and know that. And we're just at the beginning. We're just a few years into this. So I can say thus far, it's been quite a journey, but we still, of course, have a lot of work in front of us to do.
And you're not just talking about kindness locally, you're talking about kindness on a worldwide basis.
Precisely.
And we, of course, people, when they listen to this, they're going to say kindness is probably the last thing that anybody in the world is thinking about. But that's how you change things, isn't it? It's the way you're going to change the world, Jaclyn?
I started this organization with the conviction that if we could lead with science, data, evidence as a means to inform our programs and recommendations, we could more quickly gain the trust and intrigue of the general public. What we've seen is that kindness being at the forefront of humanity, of choice, of cooperation, of caring well for people, it is the lever we need to move the needle towards problem solving and social change. When we can operate by choosing kindness for all of those around us, both near and far, it is the tip of the iceberg to the ripple effect that can happen.
So it's been said that America is not kind because it's rich. It's rich because it's kind. And the idea is that people benefit greatly by having the feelings of kindness. Have you seen scientific evidence of that? Is there proof that you have to show that people, if they're kind and giving, are actually healthier?
Absolutely. There's an immense amount of research, a big body of research that validates the role kindness plays on our social, emotional, physical, mental well-being. Just a few examples. Kindness has a significant effect on the individual happiness and well-being of the kind actor, if you will, the person doing the kindness. There's research that shows kindness is the most effective way to improve the subjective well-being of a closed group or community. We've seen it impact blood pressure, anxiety. The list is very long. You're really talking about something that's an antidote to so many of our challenges. And I want to be clear, I don't think it's a silver bullet, but I think it's an essential ingredient that we have to be talking about.
How do you introduce that ingredient? How do you enter into a discussion with somebody regarding that, the fact that kindness is important? Well,
the way that we think about it is we start with what is what are the gaps? What are the unknowns? So, for example, what is the real benefit of choosing kindness? When you're told, go smile at a stranger, buy a coffee for somebody, some of those smaller acts, if you will. Why? What meaning does it really have? What impact does it really have? So we've actually created the world's first database that has measured the cost and benefit of more than 1,000 acts of kindness. And we're just at the beginning stages of this research. It's incredibly groundbreaking because the public at large is helping to inform why these acts matter, what benefit they really have, and it allows us to better know how to guide people with what to do. We take our research and then we apply it into what we kind of call real world tools and applications. So we have bespoke programming for children. We're in, hundreds and hundreds of classrooms around the world, serving kindergarten through 8th grade with skills for social emotional learning, leveraging our research. We have tools for workplace kindness. We're just starting to enter into community kindness where you live. So the more we understand about the benefit, the impact, the more smartly we can develop solutions that are easily scaled.
So in the process of working with an individual and the individual's kindness, as opposed to the kindness of a huge organization. You're dealing with individuals to make the individual understand more how kindness, how they can change the way they view the world through kindness. Would that be clear?
So I would say our site, kindness.org, certainly can be a mechanism for which an individual can learn more about the benefits of kindness, the research, and then receive ACT ideas of what they can do on an individual level. I feel that real impact starts with one-to-many. So we actually think about working with people, we call them change makers. We're trying to work with the people who is not a skeptic. We're not trying to convince them. They believe, like us, kindness is one of the most powerful tools in solving problems. So we work through them. And then they're helping to amplify it out to their communities, their networks, whether they're a teacher in a classroom, they're a leader in the workplace. We're not trying to convince them. So we are collaborating with them in that way. And we really see ourselves as the hub, trying to provide the educational and inspirational resources necessary to move the needle. But I wouldn't say that we're specifically trying to do the one-to-one, because that would take a very long time to really reach real big impact, wide scale.
Have you written a book or anything that the public can take away from our interview today? Is there some place that they can find information about what you're doing so that they can easily get involved in kindness?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to kindness.org/get started, that is our resource page. It has everything anyone would need to learn more about kindness, whether they're looking at it from a scientific lens or they're looking for content, or toolkits. We really try and keep that current with all of our latest offerings. We do actually have a book that I published with one of my co-founders in 2020. It's called Be Kind, A Year of Kindness Week by Week. And we take the reader on a journey through 52 vignettes that include a scientific fact or learning, combined with a real story of someone from around the world on the way kindness has shown up in their lives and the impact it's had. And then we give an ACT recommendation for people to go do. Our research director is also in the middle of writing his book, How to Be Good, and that will be released later this year.
What is it called?
How to Be Good.
How to Be Good.
Yes.
So, I mean, hard to believe that we have to teach people to be kind. It's hard to believe that people need to learn how to be this way. Why is that?
Yeah, excellent question. Okay, so since birth, every human has the capacity for kindness. Children as young as 2 years old are exhibiting empathy from a very early age. It is a natural tendency, part of who we are. There's even research to show that kindness is genetic. And you introduce a lot of factors, right? Lived experience, what we go through in childhood, what we experience as normal. All of those start to weigh into if and how we're choosing kindness or not. So when we think about the impact, it's that we all have it in us, but like anything, like exercise, you can know something's good for you, and yet you don't do it, or you don't do it often. So we think of it like cultivating a muscle, really investing into growing it, shaping it, strengthening it. The more you do it, the more natural it, comes to you, the stronger you are. So I think like anything, it's needing to nurture it and develop it.
So do you think that the social environment, I have to go to not an economic principle, but there's something that I've been dealing with for a while, where in the world of finance, a lot of the masters in business education, the MBAs, are taught bottom line. And bottom line is, how do I make the most profit? And it's almost, they don't take into consideration this factor. So how do you change the structural institutionalization of the bottom line only thinking and change it into something that makes people kinder?
I think we're on the precipice of something completely shifting in how businesses operate. Meaning, early research so far, both some that we're conducting as well as other existing literature, is showing that all of the factors that feed into bottom line, employee engagement, employee well-being, absenteeism, retention, any of those individual isolated things can all be positively, significantly affected when kindness is at the table of how you lead, how you invest into your culture, into your team. And so when you think about bottom line, probably the best thing you can do for your business is to focus on both internal employee care, well-being, compassion, and doing it in a very action-oriented way. So there's a lot there that I could certainly unpack, but then also thinking about how it translates out to consumers. Should you be a business that's also engaging consumers as part of what feeds your bottom line? I think that 10 years from now, if your company doesn't have kindness in some vein, you can call it something else if you want, but all couched under what we say is a meta value. If you are not a business that's prioritizing that, I simply don't think you will make it. Bottom line has to now start to be thought about as something combined with investing into the care of who your staff is. Bottom line is powered by the people who are making it possible. So great vision, strong leadership, that can only get you so far if you're not investing into the team who is responsible for what that bottom line is.
Well, we've come through, the organizing structures of humanity were tribal in the beginning, and then became religious. Religiosity was the control, and then we moved into the political world, where politics has controlled everything. And then we've lately moved into the economic world, and we at the Dow American Network Foundation and all of the things all the projects that we're working on are all about moving into the era of human kindness. We actually have discussed that, and we've actually written white papers on the fact that we're moving into the era of human kindness. And the reason that we believe you're moving into the era of human kindness is because that is the end result. We think that you go back, tribalism is actually human kindness in a way. It was just a very primitive way of dealing with it, but we're going back to that. But we have the ability to do a lot more because of technology, and we have the ability to transfer ideas, which is what you're doing. My guest is Jaclyn Lindsey, who is the co-founder and CEO of Kindnessorg, and believes that kindness is humanity's greatest asset. And your work, give me an idea of the scope of where you're working now in terms of the world's kindness.
Great. Our research has largely been focused across the US and UK to start with, but we can take all the findings from those publics and those people and still develop solutions that go beyond borders. Our Learn Kind curriculum is in more than 30 countries. It is a free social emotional learning curriculum. It is only in English, but we've seen incredible engagement and activation with teachers from around the world. And our workplace programming is also largely focused in the United States. When it comes to this idea of community, social engagement, how we're putting, content out to our audience, they're in more than 190 countries, which is indicative that kindness truly transcends difference, borders, religion, culture, et cetera. But as far as where we're investing right now, largely domestic, but certainly with a belief that what we're creating can be used anywhere by anyone.
Well, I hope that you can reach out to Mr. Putin and make him a little bit kinder in the world. That would help a lot if he was coming from that side of things. We certainly need human kindness, and we need kindness in the world. And we thank you very much, Jaclyn, for being a proponent of kindness. It goes along very well with what our objectives are here on Route 664, the road to human kindness. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Wanda, thank you for putting that together. Appreciate it. And this is all about human kindness and being good to one another. It's a much healthier way of dealing with things. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just want to say kudos to you for the nod to tribalism, because the research director that I work with, we've worked together for 5 years on this mission. He is one of the world's leading authorities on evolutionary psychology. And so he is bringing the lens of how did we start? What's the journey we've taken? What is innate? How are we getting back to the root of it all? And I very rarely hear someone understand it through that lens. And so that was just really wonderful that you brought that into this. He would have had a field day getting to engage in that conversation with you. So
well, thank you.
To hear that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that we're on the cutting edge and working together to make the world kinder. Thank you again, Jaclyn.
Absolutely. And just one question. I'm a little curious about the group you're working with, or, you said it was focused on the path to human kindness. So is there a place for me to learn more about what you're doing, how you're doing it? Yes,
absolutely. Go to our website, socialsecharity.org, socialsecharity.org. It's SECHARITY. It's like Social Security, just change the U to HA.
Okay. Great.